Major waves are rippling through the AFC North and it could reshape the entire balance of power. This isn't just another headline. We're talking about a seismic shift that could catapult the Browns closer to that long-awaited Super Bowl glory while leaving a division rival scrambling in the shadows for years. But before we dive into the breaking developments, if you bleed orange and brown, smash that subscribe button and join our growing family of passionate supporters. Let's surge together to 1,000 subscribers. Share this with your squad. Now, let's get to it. Today, we're unpacking explosive news echoing across the AFC North. If you've been watching closely, you already know the landscape is shifting, and the Browns are right in the heart of it. Let's set the scene. Cleveland, a city built on grit, loyalty, and football pride's once again on the verge of something monumental. The offseason has been ablaze with speculation, bold moves, and unexpected twists that could redefine the Browns' trajectory heading into the new campaign. And believe me, what's unfolding now could be a game moment, not just for Cleveland, but for the entire division, maybe even the conference. Eyes across the league are laser-focused on the Browns. After their recent performances and the wealth of young talent on the roster, the energy is undeniable. But here's where it gets even more thrilling. A new development just hit the radar. One that could tilt the AFC North in our favor and ignite a postseason run fans have dreamed of for decades. Could this be the key to that elusive Super Bowl run? Maybe. And it starts with a name making serious noise: Shedeur Sanders. You've heard Itius, the son of NFL icon Deion Sanders. Shedeur has been turning heads with his electric play at Colorado. But what's catching Cleveland's attention is the growing speculation that the Browns are seriously eyeing him as a future franchise cornerstone. While nothing is confirmed, the internal buzz is deafening. The front office has never shied away from bold, calculated decisions if they see Shedeur as a long-term solution. This could be a masterstroke. Think about it. Watson remains the face of the present, but the future. The Browns could be laying the foundation for sustained success, positioning themselves with a dynamic dual-threat quarterback with arm talent, mobility, and an advanced football mind. Even beyond the QB conversation, this team has been strategically upgrading across the board. From free agency acquisitions to smart draft moves, Cleveland is stacking the roster with hungry veterans and high-upside rookies designed to complement the core and finally break through. Now, let's be honest, if you're paying attention, you can feel it. This kid was labeled early on as arrogant. Maybe even entitled a classic coach's son who walked in like he already owned the building. But once you actually hear him speak, once you observe how he's maneuvered through his early days in Cleveland, the perception flips completely. Listen to how his teammates speak about him. Watch how he carries himself in interviews. He's composed. He's articulate, and above all he's humble. Not in a forced, media-trained way either. It's quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't need to prove itself with noise. The kind that makes you lean in and pay attention, and that's exactly what makes what's happening behind the scenes so intriguing, because while the national media debates whether Shedeur Sanders even deserves a real shot, something monumental is unfolding at Browns OTAs and nobody's talking about it. According to ESPN, Cleveland's latest internal tracking, this so-called fifth-round flyer isn't just showing flashes. He's obliterating the competition. The numbers are jaw-dropping, the tape is undeniable, and the whispers inside the Browns facility, they're getting louder. But here's the twist. Kevin Stefanski may be playing a deeper game than anyone realized. While the league is focused on buzz and depth charts, Stefanski appears to be executing a meticulously calculated plan, a plan that could either redefine this franchise or backfire spectacularly. Let's break it down. First, the numbers. Shedeur Sanders is completing 77% of his passes in camp. That's not just solid, it's elite. For context, he led the FBS with a 74% completion rate last year, while being sacked 42 times. Most quarterbacks would crumble. Under that pressure, Shedeur, he got sharper. Now compare that to the rest of the Browns' QB room. They're hovering around 58%. That's not a small gap, that's a gulf, a chasm that signals a clear separation in performance and poise. But instead of fast-tracking Shedeur to the first-team offense and triggering a media frenzy, Stefanski is intentionally keeping him with the second and third units. Why? Because Stefanski understands something most coaches don't. Controlled expectations, strategic development, shielding a young quarterback from the spotlight just long enough to sharpen his sword in the shadows. He's letting Shedeur evolve without the crushing pressure of headlines and hot takes, and it's working. According to Pro Football Focus, Shedeur's real superpowers aren't flashy. He doesn't have the bazooka arm of Josh Allen. He doesn't scramble like Lamar Jackson. What he does possess is rarer. Elite processing speed, pre-snap, awareness, anticipation, football IQ. That reads like a graduate-level textbook. These are the intangible traits that thrive in Stefanski's offensive ecosystem, one that values sharp decision-making over spectacle. Remember, this is the same system that once made Baker Mayfield look like the future. Imagine what it could do with a quarterback who actually fits the mold. Now, here's where the masterstroke becomes visible. Sources from The Athletic and within the Browns themselves are all saying the same thing. Shedeur doesn't look like a fifth-round project. He looks like a second-round gem, maybe even higher. And here's the part nobody's acknowledging. You don't win quarterback battles in June. You don't win them in July. You win them when the pads come on, when the defensive front is collapsing, when the clock's ticking, when instincts and intelligence collide under fire. And Stefanski knows this. He's not handicapping Shedeur, he's preparing him. He's not ignoring the hype, he's managing it. He's not holding him back, he's letting him brew. Because when the storm comes, and it will, when he starter falters, and it might, Stefanski doesn't want a rookie searching for his footing. He wants a weapon forged, in silence, ready for war. This is what strategic foresight looks like. By not thrusting Shedeur Sanders into the starting lineup immediately. By resisting the temptation to place him with the first-team offense right out of the gate. Kevin Stefanski is doing something far more impactful. He's protecting his quarterback, while letting him build momentum organically. Now think about what happens when training camp begins and Shedeur finally gets those first-team reps. If he performs anywhere near how he's been performing with the backups, it won't just be impressive, it'll be undeniable. According to recent reporting from NFL insider Adam Schefter, the Browns front office led by Andrew Berry is fully aligned with this developmental blueprint. They recognize what they potentially have on their hands. A draft day steal. A quarterback who had first or second round talent but slipped to the fifth due to narratives, not deficiencies. But behind the scenes, something far more calculated is unfolding. Sources close to the organization, as reported by Cleveland.com, reveal that the coaching staff isn't hoping Shedeur might start this season, they're actively preparing for it. The plan isn't if everything goes right. The plan is when it becomes inevitable. Why? Because deep down they know what we're all beginning to realize. Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco are temporary placeholders. Dillon Gabriel, despite being a third-round pick, has insiders questioning whether he should have even been drafted. But Shedeur, he's showing something completely different, something no one expected from a fifth-round selection. Let me paint you a picture of the current reality inside the Browns facility. According to respected reporters who've covered the team for years, there's a noticeable shift when Shedeur is under center. The energy changes. The offense sharpens, the ball goes where it's supposed to go and it looks like it belongs. That's not manufactured hype. That's not exaggerated coach speak. That's raw quarterbacking acumen showing up in real time. Now, zoom out and examine Stefanski's long-term strategy. According to recent reporting from Pro Football Talk, the Browns are laying the foundation for a situation where Shedeur forces their hand through sheer performance. They're not gifting him the job. They're engineering a runway for him to earn it undeniably. Here's how it plays out. The Browns begin the season with Pickett or Flacco, trudging through a brutal early schedule. If struggles mount, they likely will. Shedeur becomes the obvious next step, but by then, he'll be seasoned, he'll be embedded in the system. He'll have chemistry with the receivers. He won't just be available, he'll be ready. This is the Tom Brady formula, the Aaron Rodgers approach. We've got breaking news out of the AFC North. And trust me, this could reshape the entire landscape of the division. What's unfolding might not only shift the power dynamics but could also directly influence the Cleveland Browns' path back to Super Bowl contention. A seismic change is brewing, and it might leave a key rival reeling for years. You're hearing it here firsthand. But before we dive into this developing saga, if you bleed brown and orange, subscribe now to join the movement. Let's show the league what Cleveland loyalty looks like. Share this with your fellow Browns diehards, and let's hit our milestone of 1,000 subscribers strong now. Let's get into it. If you've followed this franchise for any length of time, you know the Browns are never short on surprises, and this offseason is no exception. The Cleveland Browns, a team with a storied legacy and one of the most ferociously loyal fan bases in football, stand at yet another critical juncture. Rumblings are growing louder around the current roster makeup, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, which has been riding a wild wave of highs and lows. But what's truly captivating the attention of insiders is the brewing conflict between veteran leadership and the youth movement. And today, we're zeroing in on one story that could shape the Browns' defensive future in a massive way. We're talking about linebacker Jordan Hicks, a seasoned vet and proven performer when healthy, but whose time in Cleveland could be nearing its end. And I'll break down why. Setting the scene, the Browns have made it crystal clear. They're building a team rooted in experience and emerging talent. They're looking for players who can contribute immediately, stay healthy, and grow into long-term cornerstones. Last season, the defense flashed brilliance but ultimately lacked consistency due to injuries. Yes, but also a shortage of explosive high-impact playmakers, and no position has been under more scrutiny than the linebackers. The heart and engine of any defense. Linebackers don't just make tackles, they set the tone. Cover elite tight ends, plug the run lanes, and apply pressure on the QB. Cleveland's had dependable players in that room, but if they want to elevate under new defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz, it's time to raise the bar. The Jordan Hicks dilemma. Jordan Hicks is a name Browns fans know well. a respected veteran with the reputation of a cerebral, high-Q tackler. Hicks has long been admired for his locker room presence and in-game instincts. When healthy, he's reliable, physical, and provides mentorship to the younger guys. But that key phrase, when healthy, continues to cast a shadow. Injuries have plagued Hicks throughout his career, and in an NFL landscape shifting toward speed, durability, and youth. That's becoming a red flag the Browns can no longer ignore. The next man up, according to analyst Damon Wolf, the Browns may soon part ways with Hicks. Not due to a lack of skill, but because of pragmatic roster building. The franchise needs to evolve faster, stronger, younger, and that puts Hicks in a precarious position, especially with rookie linebacker Nathaniel Watson lighting up the field in camp. Watson has been turning heads with his athleticism, football IQ, and relentless motor. If he continues this trajectory during preseason, the coaching staff may have no choice but to hand him Hicks snaps or even his spot on the final 53-man roster. A harsh reality of the game. This is the brutal truth of NFL roster construction. Veteran presence alone doesn't guarantee longevity. While Hicks brings invaluable leadership, experience, and intangible grit, those attributes don't always outweigh the cost of unreliability due to injuries. Schwartz's defensive scheme demands versatility and high-motor linebackers who can cover, blitz, and flow sideline to sideline. And that's exactly what this coaching staff is prioritizing as they look to rekindle the Browns' defensive identity, reminiscent of the punishing 1980s era or their resurgent 2010s defense. The offensive line reinforced the defense, already ferocious with Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward. Leading the charge just got even deeper with elite linebackers and DBs added to the mix. These aren't just tweaks, these are chess moves. As training camp looms, anticipation is at a fever pitch. Fans want answers. Can Watson elevate? Will Nick Chubb return stronger than ever? How will the new additions blend into this ambitious puzzle? And the biggest question of all, could Shedeur Sanders be the future of the franchise? Stick with us, subscribe, because what's happening in Cleveland right now might just be the beginning of something unforgettable.